Hi, everyone. Just testing our sound. We'll get going in about 2 minutes. Just waiting for everyone to come through. Jenny, just checking if you can hear us there. Okay.
All good, thanks, Josh.
Okay. I think now's a good time to get started. So, thank you everyone for joining us today, and thank you for those who attended on Monday last week as well. It was great to see a really good turnout in that session, and a good turnout building up here today as well. My name's Josh Drake. I'm an Associate Director in the Cushman and Wakefield Advisory Plus team. We're serving as a commercial advisor to Gardiner Foundation in this EOI. Also in the room here, I've got George Usakos, Associate Partner, Alan Herman, Partner, and Stella Greaves, who's a Senior Consultant. And Jenny, if you just wanted to say a quick hello as well from Gardiner Foundation.
Thanks, Josh. Jenny Wilson, General Manager for Community Development with Gardiner Foundation.
Great, thank you. So before I go any further, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the past, present and future traditional custodians and elders of the land across Victoria on which we're all meeting today. We're joining here from the Wurundjeri lands of the people of the Kulin Nation. Okay, so the EOI was released on Wednesday on Tenderlink. If you haven't accessed it yet, you can do so on the Tenderlink website. There's a link also on the Gardiner Foundation website, and we'll also put a link directly to the EOI in the Teams chat function here as well. Here, you see the agenda on screen. So what we're going to do is walk through the EOI and the returnable schedules in the first part of this call. And then if you have any questions as we're going through, please put them in the Teams chat function, and then we'll allocate 10 minutes at the end to address whatever questions we can. And if we don't get to a question that you've asked, we'll then try to respond to that by email. And at the end of this, we will recap the next steps. Just a reminder that queries about this can be emailed to housing@gardinerfoundation.com.au. We'll also put that email address in the chat. And also that this session will be recorded, just like the first session was, and that recording will be available on the Gardiner Foundation website. Okay, so I think Stella will start bringing up the returnable schedules because we're going to walk through those. I think it's worth emphasising first up that Gardiner Foundation is seeking ideas from the market that it can partner with and that it can support. So we're really emphasising that collaboration is needed for housing solutions in regional Victoria. And the level of detail in this opportunity at this stage is very conceptual, which I think you'll see. This is not a specific project at this stage. This is an EOI to understand the appetite of the market and to understand what capabilities are out there and if there are housing solutions that Gardiner Foundation can work on in collaboration with a partner. So you won't see any project level details or specifics around financial information. That's going to come after the EOI stage. So hopefully this is the first step in engaging with the housing industry. And then what we're working towards is identifying some bidders that Gardiner Foundation can work with and collaborate with. Also, just on that point of collaboration, we'll be reaching out separately by email to everyone here to see if you consent to having your contact details shared to other interested bidders. So something that might come out of this project is actually linking organisations with each other. And so you'll be able to tell us if you want your details shared with other interested parties as part of this, and if you'd like to potentially collaborate with them, then you'll be able to consent to us to do that. So just looking at these returnable schedules now, so we'll go straight to returnable schedule 2, and that's because the first returnable schedule is really just company information and some basic details and a declaration. So that should be pretty straightforward. Returnable schedule 2, so this is your opportunity to describe a potential housing solution. And in that description, we've listed here some of the things that we want to see included. So firstly, provide an overall description of the solution. So for example, is it a build to sell housing product? Is it affordable housing? Is it on-farm housing? Is it a multi-dwelling development in town? So describe the overall solution. And then we also want to hear about who are the housing occupants. And so in the EOI, you'll see in section 3, there are some examples of housing occupants. So for example, is it farm workers? Is it seasonal workers? Is it agribusiness professionals? Families of dairy industry workers, are they included as well? And then similarly, describe the housing typology. So is it, for example, detached housing, multi-unit housing? Is it prefabricated housing? Or is it a community-oriented housing model? And again, those examples are in the EOI. Then for the location, so there's a priority areas map in the EOI, and so you'll see there that this EOI is targeting the dairy regions in regional Victoria, with recognition that there are 3 concentrated dairy regions, and there are housing challenges in all of those areas. So that's the Murray Dairy region, the Gipps Dairy region, and the West Vic Dairy region. And so in any of those areas, we're looking at either in-town solutions or on-farm housing solutions as well. And then we've also asked for housing impact or scale. So that just refers to the number of homes or the workers that your housing solution would deliver. I think it's important to note here, if you don't have all of the answers at this stage, that's okay. So, if you can't say now who the housing occupants are or where in Victoria this project would be, that's okay. We still want to hear from you. There still can be enough in your proposition that's attractive to Gardiner Foundation. So, for example, if you're a developer, you might not have the land or you might not know the location, but you can bid in here and say, we're a highly capable regional developer. We want to deliver housing in regional towns. And we've got this idea. We just need this amount of capital, or we just need to be linked with the right partners. And again, another example, if you're a local government and you've got underutilised land or an asset that could be redeveloped as housing, and you just need to be linked with the right developer or the right capital source, again, we want to hear from you about that. Okay, so the next part is is on the roles and partners. So there's a 1-page limit here to describe which roles and partners are involved in your proposed housing solution. So that includes the provider of the land, the ownership structure or leasing structure, who would be the developer, who's responsible for construction, who's responsible for asset and tenancy management, and any other proposed housing roles. And so here, you might say, yes, we have access to the land, or you might be bidding on the basis that the land is provided by another landowner or it's provided by government. The financial and commercial approach. So we have a 2-page limit here, and we're asking you to provide a very high level indicative cost structure of a proposed housing solution, and then also a funding and financing strategy, again, very high level, and to describe where the proposed sources of your capital is coming from. And then you may want to also provide proposed capital stack for the project, which could, for example, just be a table with a breakdown of the different capital sources. So again here, make it clear what you have, and then also what you would need for your proposed housing solution to work. the dairy community impact section. So this is where you can describe what are the positive outcomes of your housing project. So, for example, housing supply is obviously going to be one of those, but then what are the other benefits? Will this solution bring specific workers in for the dairy industry? Will it integrate farm workers in the community, or will there be any other benefits other than just the housing supply? The next question is about innovation. So here we have a one-page limit for you to describe any innovative features of the proposal. So is there something innovative about, for example, the way that the housing is being constructed, or the partnership arrangement, or something innovative about how the capital is used, or social impact? Any of those things can go there. Then we'll move on to returnable Schedule 3. This should be relatively straightforward. It's where you can describe your capability and experience in regional housing in Victoria. And you can do that by either filling out these word boxes or by providing your own attachment that responds to these questions. So what we want to hear first there is a short experience statement, which has a one-page limit. And then on the next page, we've asked for a few project examples, so up to 3 projects, and then a few basic details about those projects, such as where they are, who the beneficiaries and residents were, and what the housing impact of those projects was. Key personnel and expertise. So here is where we want you to list any personnel that would be involved in delivering your housing solution, and provide their CVs with a 5-page overall limit to do that. And then finally, industry partnerships and collaborations. So here, describe either what partnerships you have that would help you deliver your housing solution, or what you would need for your housing solution to work. And that is a 1-page limit. Okay, so I can see a few questions coming through in the chat. Just before we go to that, just to also speak about the eligibility and evaluation criteria. So the eligibility is very, very open. So any bidder that has an ABN or an ACN can bid. So we're not looking to rule out any organisations at this stage, as long as they believe that they can meet the evaluation criteria. And in terms of the criteria, so 50% of the evaluation will be about capability and experience in regional housing, and then 50% will be on the strength of the proposed housing solution. And then in terms of lodgement of submissions, what you're required to do is to fill out the 3 returnable schedules and then email those to housing@gardinerfoundation.com.au. And obviously those instructions are in the EOI, and it will be, it's due on the 13th of June at 5 p.m. Okay, so I take it that the chat is getting a few questions, and that's being monitored at the moment. Perhaps if I can pass to you, Stella, to call out any questions at this point.
Yeah, so the first question we have from James is, can you please provide some guidance on the scale of accommodation required in each region, e.g. 25 to 50 beds per region?
Yeah, so at this, we don't have that sort of project level detail. I mean, we're really asking for that to be bid back. It's clear there's evidence of demand in all 3 of those regions for affordable housing and for home ownership products. So we know that the demand is there. As for the specifics around the scale of what that demand is, we haven't specified that at this point.
The next question from Zalman is, can you let us know the number of properties you are looking to build in this project?
Yeah, again, similar answer in that sort of project level detail we don't know at this stage. So we're looking for bidders who are coming forward with housing solutions that are attractive to Gardiner Foundation and the bidder. And so really the number of properties and the scale is open for consideration at this point.
Another question from Zelman was, will the land be provided as part of the solution?
So that is something that you can bid on. So if you're a developer and you have a good housing solution, but you don't have the land, then we want to hear that in your solution. And we, through this process, we may be able to link bidders with land. So in the last briefing, we had our representative from the state government who has advised us that they're committed to supporting this project by looking at available state government land parcels. So we're trying to integrate with available state government land, also speaking to local councils and looking how we can link up bidders as part of this.
The last question we have in the chat is asking whether multi-residential is a serious consideration, i.e. 4 to 8 stories.
Yeah, it definitely could be. So if there's an in-town housing solution that is a multi-unit solution, definitely open to that. You know, if there's demand in a location for that kind of product, that could definitely be part of the solution.
And another question in the chat is around an indication on the financial support, financial contribution.
What do you mean by that?
So the question is there any indication on financial support? If you only have $1 million in support, are we all wasting our time?
So at the moment, we can't put a dollar figure on what support is there, but Gardiner Foundation is certainly wanting to support bidders, and through this to look at how it can financially support a proposed housing solution.
There's another comment on the context in terms of the size of the potential commitment that Gardiner can make. It's not a question or such. Another question from Greg, does the Gardiner Foundation have any preference to owning any of the housing?
So just on those, well, I can see that there the questions coming through about the scale of the opportunity. So yeah, as I've been saying, this is really about us seeking ideas from the market that we can attach to. And so we're looking for bidders to come to us with a solution, and the scale of that solution can, you know, it could be a different scale. It could be something that brought in institutional capital. It could be something smaller scale, whatever we think is going to have impact in a regional community. And so that, you know, again, this is the first stage in us reaching out to the market here, and definitely that sort of information and that negotiation about scale and capital will come after this EOI stage.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is purposefully not being driven by scale either at the smaller or the larger end to retain some flexibility more broadly. I think the other principle that's really important here is around scalability. So even if it is at the smaller end of the spectrum, that ability to scale across further projects would be really, really important. But I didn't want to constrain it one way or the other is probably the key message now. If it's a good idea, it's a good idea regardless of scale.
So yeah, that question about ownership. So there's no preference there. You know, we're open to different ownership arrangements. Yeah, whether that's Gardiner Foundation or you know, another organisation owning the assets.
And the most recent question to come through is, will the Gardiner Foundation contribution be paid upfront or over time?
Yeah, again, that's you know, depending on the bid. So if the bid wants to make stated preference about that, then that's up to the bidder.
That's all the questions that have come through so far. I might just share my screen.
Yeah, so thanks for that. As I said, if there's any questions that we haven't, we'll sort of do another scan through the questions after this. And if there's any we haven't addressed, we'll reach out by email. And if you want further clarifications, then just email your question through to housing@gardinerfoundation.com.au. So what's happening now is the EOI is open at the moment. It's open for submissions. It will close 5 p.m. on Friday, the 13th of June. You can refer to the Gardiner Foundation's website for any further information. I think that's all from us. Jenny, if there's anything else from you, or anything else you wanted to say, happy for you to jump in now.
No, thanks, Josh. Just encourage people to, if they do have further questions, to fire them in through that email, housing@gardinerfoundation.com.au, and also to look on our website for recordings of both today and last week as well. And thank everybody for their participation so far.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Look forward to hearing from you.